The city had always looked different from the top floor of Forrester Creations. At sunset, Los Angeles transformed into something almost unreal. The glass towers caught fire beneath streaks of amber light. The ocean in the distance shimmered like liquid gold, and every passing car seemed like part of a world moving too fast for anyone to truly hold on to. People inside the Forrester building loved that view because it reminded them of power, legacy, control. But on that evening, none of those things mattered. Inside the executive corridor, the silence between Will Spencer and Elektra felt heavier than the skyline outside. Elektra stood near the massive windows with her arms wrapped tightly around herself, as if she were trying to keep her body from falling apart. The revelation about Dylan had shattered something inside her that she could not easily repair. For days, she had ignored the signs, ignored the inconsistencies, ignored the strange uneasiness that settled into her chest every time Dylan avoided certain questions or disappeared without explanation. Now the truth sat between them like broken glass. She still could not fully process it. Dylan's connection to Remy had not been accidental. It had not been distant. And worst of all, it had not been harmless. Will watched her carefully from several feet away, uncertain whether moving closer would comfort her or push her even further into panic. He had spent most of his life around emotional chaos. The Spencer family practically breathed conflict. Public scandals, betrayals, revenge, manipulation, those things were as familiar to him as childhood memories. But this felt different, because Elektra mattered. She mattered in a way that frightened him. For the first time in years, he genuinely cared whether someone saw the best or worst parts of him. And tonight, standing in the fading sunlight, he could feel everything slipping beyond his control. "I should have told you sooner," he finally said. Elektra laughed bitterly without looking at him. "That's what everyone keeps saying." Her voice cracked. The sound alone made Will's stomach tighten. "I wasn't trying to hurt you." "No," she whispered. "You were trying to protect me." That's what people always say right before everything explodes. Will took a slow breath. He understood why she was angry. He understood why she felt betrayed. The problem was that none of it changed the fact that he had been trying desperately to keep her safe from the storm gathering around them. Remy was dangerous. Not reckless dangerous. Not impulsive dangerous. Calculated dangerous. The kind of man who smiled while destroying lives. And Dylan. Will clenched his jaw. Dylan had become the weak point in all of this. Whether willingly or unwillingly, he had opened the door for Remy to get close enough to poison everything. Elektra finally turned toward him. Her eyes were red from crying, but the devastation inside them went far beyond tears. "You knew something was wrong," she said softly. "Didn't you?" Will hesitated. That hesitation was enough. Elektra nodded slowly, almost numbly. "God, I didn't know everything," he admitted, "but I knew enough to worry. And you still let me trust him. That's not fair." "Fair." She stepped toward him then, emotion finally breaking through the numbness. "Nothing about this is fair, Will. My entire life feels like a lie right now." The pain in her voice cut through him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Outside the office windows, darkness slowly consumed the city. Inside, the tension only deepened. Will had imagined this conversation 100 different ways over the past week. In none of those versions did Elektra look at him like this, like she was standing on the edge of collapse, like she no longer knew who she could trust. And suddenly he realized something terrifying. If he lost her tonight, it would not be because of Remy. It would be because fear had made him wait too long. He moved closer carefully. "Elektra," she lowered her gaze. "I can't do this anymore." His heart dropped. "You don't mean that." "I don't even know what I mean anymore." Her voice trembled harder. "I'm exhausted, Will. Every day there's another secret, another betrayal, another reason to question everything around me." He could see her unraveling. The pressure had become too much. The lies, the manipulation, the constant emotional warfare surrounding both the Forresters and the Spencers. People from powerful families learned early how to survive scandal. Elektra had never truly learned. She still felt things too deeply. That was part of what made Will fall for her, and part of what terrified him now. "Look at me," he said quietly. She resisted at first, then slowly raised her eyes. The moment their gazes locked, something inside him shifted. No more hesitation. No more half-truths. No more pretending distance would protect her. I love you. Electra froze. The words hung between them with almost painful intensity. Will felt exposed in a way he never had before. He had said those words before in his life. Casually, recklessly, sometimes because people expected to hear them. But never like this. Never with the terrifying certainty that the answer could destroy him. I know this is a disaster, he continued. I know everything around us is falling apart right now. But I need you to understand something. None of this changes how I feel about you. Electra stared at him silently. He stepped even closer. When I'm with you, everything becomes real. Not the Spencer name. Not the expectations. Not the games people play. Just real. Emotion thickened his voice. I should have told you sooner. I should have trusted you enough to stop hiding things. That's on me. But what I feel for you is the only thing in this entire mess that isn't a lie. Electra's breathing became uneven. For one fragile moment, it looked as though the walls around her might finally collapse. And then every screen inside Forrester Creations suddenly turned on. The sharp electronic sound echoed through the building. Both of them looked up instinctively. Conference room monitors, lobby displays, hallway screens. Every digital surface flickered black. Then the video began. At first, Electra did not understand what she was seeing. The footage looked grainy, dimly intimate. Two figures. One of them was unmistakably Will. The other was Dylan. Electra's blood turned to ice. No. The sound left her mouth like a dying breath. Will stared at the screen in total disbelief. His face drained of color. Because although something was horribly wrong with the footage, although certain movements felt unnatural and distorted, the damage happened instantly. The video looked real enough. And that was all it needed to do. Employees across the building began stopping in the hallways. Voices erupted in confusion. Shock spread floor by floor. Electra backed away from the screen as though it might physically hurt her. This isn't real, Will said immediately, but his voice sounded distant, muted, like he was speaking underwater. Electra could barely hear him over the roaring panic inside her head. The timing, the humiliation, the betrayal. Everything inside her shattered at once. Her mind flashed back through every moment involving Dylan, every suspicious glance, every secret conversation, every unanswered question. And now this. Her body began trembling violently. Will rushed toward her. Electra, listen to me. This is fake. Remy did this. But she could not process his words. The pain was too immediate, too overwhelming. The entire building seemed to close in around her. Employees were already whispering, staring, watching. Electra suddenly felt humiliated beyond comprehension. She looked at Will, and for the first time since meeting him, she did not know whether she recognized the man standing in front of her. I can't breathe, she whispered. Electra, I can't do this. She turned and ran. Will's panic exploded instantly. Electra. He chased after her without hesitation. The hallway blurred around him. People called his name. Someone tried asking questions. He ignored all of it. All he could see was Electra disappearing down the corridor. By the time she reached the elevator, tears were streaming uncontrollably down her face. The doors opened. She stepped inside. Will barely caught it before the doors closed. Please, he said breathlessly. Please don't walk away from me. Electra looked destroyed. Completely destroyed. You should have told me the truth. I'm telling you now. After the entire company watches that. It's fake. But Dylan isn't fake, she cried. Remy isn't fake. None of this is fake anymore. The elevator doors opened to the lobby. Electra ran again. The massive Forrester atrium echoed with chaos as employees stared upward at the screens. Security guards shouted into radios. Someone finally began trying to shut the system down. Too late. The damage was already spreading. Will push through the crowd after Electra. Outside, the cold night air hit them hard. Traffic moved aggressively through downtown Los Angeles. Electra stumbled toward the street, blinded by panic and tears. Electra! She turned for half a second. That was when the headlights appeared. A horn screamed. Will's instincts took over. He lunged toward her. The impact came like an explosion. Metal crushed. Glass shattered. Electra screamed. The world became noise. Then silence. For one horrifying moment, everything stopped. The city, the traffic, the crowd. Even time itself seemed to freeze. Will Spencer lay motionless across the pavement. Blood spread beneath him slowly. Electra collapsed to her knees beside him in shock. No, 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 no. Her hands shook uncontrollably as she reached for him. Will's eyes fluttered weakly. He tried to speak. No sound came out. Around them, people were screaming for an ambulance. Sirens echoed somewhere in the distance. Electra pressed trembling hands against his chest as tears blurred her vision. "Stay with me," she sobbed. "Please stay with me." Will looked at her with fading awareness. Even through the agony consuming his body, one thought cut through the darkness. She was safe. That mattered more than the pain. His lips moved slightly. Electra leaned closer desperately. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Then his eyes closed. Electra's scream